Hello and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the conclusions of Foundation Fabs Flushes. If you are new to my channel, if you don't know what Fabs and Flushes is, it is my very small series of me testing foundation every single Sunday. Today I'm going to speak about which foundations I like, why I like them and why you should buy them, and then I will discuss those that didn't work so well. So if you would like to see whether Anastasia, NARS or Revlon wins, just keep on watching. So I did make notes. I know there was quite a lot of foundations and I have decided to rate them with regards to coverage, longevity and finish. Individual category, I scored up to 5 points. So in the coverage category, if it was full coverage, which is what I like, I gave it a very high score. However, if the claim was that it was going to be medium coverage, I would still give it a high score, even though I would prefer full coverage. I also did do a separate category for longevity because I do have oily skin. Some foundations just simply don't agree with the oils. Some foundations rub off onto my top. I do have a double chin, and I know I say this in every single video, but some people don't know. Well, they do know that I have a double chin. I think you can tell. But I do lose coverage on my jaw pretty quickly because it rubs off on my top. It's just a very prone to rub off area for me. So if it stayed on my face for a long time, I would score it a very high score. If it rubbed off reasonably quickly, then I would give it a lower score. Finish is something that's very personal. This one is the most subjective, the most biased, because I personally like a very natural matte finish. I like where my foundation is matte. I don't have to powder it. It looks nice and matte, but it still has almost like a glow, a very skin-like finish. I hate when it looks like concrete. I hate the feel of powdered skin and I don't like the look of powdered skin. So this was again very subjective throughout the whole of my foundation Olympics. I don't want to ramble too much. You roughly understand what I tried to do, how I tried to rate them, and I will explain everything. The first foundation that I have tried for Foundation Fabs Flushes, which didn't even have a name back then, was Revlon Colorstay 24-hour Combo 2 Oily Formula. It is $12.99 in Boots, Superdrug, and I rated the coverage of this foundation as 3 purely because it was medium. It did build to a high coverage, however it wasn't full coverage, and using a brush was a no-no. It left streaks. The good thing about it was that even though it was high coverage, it didn't feel very heavy on the skin. I did take into consideration the fact that it did slowly fade throughout the day. The coverage did fade. With longevity, I did score the foundation overall a 4 because it got oily at hour number 8, which was fantastic. There was barely any transfer, which is very unusual for me. It powdered well, however it did look a little bit cakey, therefore I did score it a 3. I will go at the very end to tell you which one is best, which one is worst. Bear with me. Second foundation was a total flush, and here is why. I tested Lancome Teint Idole Ultra, where it is $33.50. The coverage was well, let's just say barely there. It was very light, maybe a medium. It did not want to build at all. However, whatever I had, whatever the coverage was, it held throughout the day for a reasonably long time. I did, however, have to, I could not have gave it more than 2 points. The fact it held throughout the day really saved it. For longevity, it did settle into my smile lines. It didn't look oily for a reasonable amount of time, therefore I decided to give it a 3. The worst aspect of this foundation. Not only that it claimed to be so full coverage and amazing, the worst aspect was the oxidization. I felt like an Oompa Loompa at the end of the day, and I decided to give 2 points. Week number 3, we had DermaCall, which was maybe a dud. Looking back at it, I did buy it on Amazon for $7.99. The one that I had, it wasn't so good. All you're gonna get from that foundation is a medium coverage. It does not build whatsoever. It doesn't want to build, and for that reason I was actually debating to give it a 1, but it did have a medium coverage, which wasn't terrible, so I gave it a 2. In longevity department, it quite literally slipped off my face. At hour number 4, there was no coverage whatsoever. It is essentially oil and pigment, and to be completely honest, I think if I didn't powder that foundation, it would have slipped off like at hour number 2, and for that reason I gave it a 1. What I liked about it is that because it is very creamy, it synced into my skin very nicely. It was a shame that it ended up looking quite heavy and just very uncomfortable, but I was generous. I gave it a 2. And finally, at week number 4, we had a real fab, and it was the NARS All Day Luminous. I think it is the only one that stayed true to the claims that it made. It is £35, however the coverage, it was full with a brush, with a sponge. It was like a very high. I loved it. It didn't get like super oily. It got dewy throughout the day. I did blot several times. Actually no, I think I blotted twice, which isn't bad for me at all. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin. It has an amazing matte, however luminous finish, which is exactly what I like. It looked flawless on the skin. It didn't transfer, and for that reason I gave it 5s across the board. 5 for coverage, 5 for longevity, and 5 for finish. I did mention that a good dupe for it is L'Oreal Fresh Wear, and it does come very close. It is $10.99, so the price is very different. So if you can't afford NARS All Day Luminous, L'Oreal Fresh Wear is not a bad dupe. Week number 5, I had to think quick on my feet because it turned out that the foundation that I did plan to do a wear test on, it was discontinued. So I picked out 2 foundations out of my stash to try out because I never did a wear test on them. I picked out Collection Lasting Perfection, a mother to the Collection Lasting Perfection concealer, which is probably my favorite concealer of all time. It did not disappoint. I did do a check-in, 14-hour check-in. It was like a secret check-in, and it was there. I did lose some coverage on my jaw. Let's just say there was some wear and tear, but it lasted very well. I did put Illuminating Touch foundation from Collection on the other side of my face. That one did not hold, like it didn't even compare to the Collection Lasting Perfection. It didn't wear as well, it didn't want to build, whereas the coverage on the Lasting Perfection is medium, however it does build and it can give you a high coverage. The Illuminating Touch I've tried to build, it builds a little bit, you can get a little bit more out of it, but not full coverage, not even like high coverage. It still stays medium. And like I said, on my oily skin, the Collection Lasting Perfection held up really well. I did blot a couple of times. So for Lasting Perfection from Collection, I gave 3 points for coverage. For longevity, I was surprised that it was there on my face at hour 14, so I gave it a 4. And then for finish, I really liked it, and it was a 4 for me. For Illuminating Touch, I'm not going to be the biggest fan. I gave it a 3 when it comes to the coverage. I did give it a 2 for longevity. It didn't stay on my skin, it just wasn't it. However, it has a stunning finish, especially when powdered. It looks so nice. At one point I really thought Illuminating Touch was going to take over. When I did powder them initially, I did like the Illuminating Touch more. I gave it a 3 in the finish department. The next foundation was Matte Velvet Skin from Makeup Forever. Surprisingly, I cannot find it on British websites. I don't know whether they are discontinuing that foundation or not. I do apologize if they do. It's not that good, so don't worry about it if they do. The only price that I was able to find was in America, and it is $38, making it probably about £32. The coverage was medium to buildable. However, for that price I just expect more, and I think that's the exact words that I used in that video. Looks a bit cakey, very matte at the very beginning, but it didn't last, and because my oils came through to the surface, it emphasized every single pore that I have on my skin. So I gave it 3 because it was mediocre. A little gem that I brought back with me from the holiday in Poland, Sephora Map Perfection. I paid 56 zł for it. It's probably around £12. It did not disappoint. The description, it was badly translated by me, I do apologize for that one, but information that we got from it was that it was going to be full coverage. It was. It did stay on the face for a very long time. It rubbed off my jaw just ever so slightly. It wasn't terrible, and the finish was exactly what I like. So for this one I don't have a lot to say because it went brilliantly. If I don't have a lot to say about a foundation, then it's a good sign. I gave it a 4 for coverage. For longevity, because I missed it on my jaw, so I did give it a 4 again. However, the finish was absolutely stunning, and I gave it a 5 for that. My next foundation is a very controversial foundation on my channel, Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous foundation. That video has a reasonable amount of dislikes, and it is due to the fact I made the mistake of buying it from the official Anastasia Beverly Hills US website. Overall, I ended up paying £120. If I didn't make it clear in the video, it was my personal choice to have paid that price. It was crazy. I was very upset about it, but I didn't take it into consideration when judging the foundation. I judged the foundation by its original price, and we do have now a price in the UK. It is £43. That is offensive to me, how the foundation looked on my skin. And one more person, I've asked my friend who has dry skin to put it on, and it didn't look good on her either. So I just genuinely don't know what person that foundation is for. I don't have good experience with it, and £43, just even looking at that price for what I have got, is offensive. Take it or leave it. It's my personal opinion. Coverage wasn't bad. It said in the description it was going to be medium coverage, and it was very nice. I actually really liked it initially. That coverage left us really quickly. It didn't hold, and I did powder it down. Longevity, it's simply not long wearing. I didn't test longevity on a dry skin. I assume it would have been better, but it didn't look good at the beginning. Like with the initial application, surprisingly my skin looked 100 times better, but it didn't last. I think with a dry skin it'd be other way around. It would last, but that initial application wouldn't look that great. It picked up on all the dry patches, and I did moisturize before I applied that foundation on my friend. Just didn't look good. I mean, you are more than welcome, and this is just my opinion. If you love that foundation, if it works for you, that's fantastic. I am so happy that you paid £43 and you got your money's worth, because I didn't. The finish is lovely, I'm not gonna lie. On me it looked fantastic. I didn't even mind that it was just medium coverage. It was dewy, it wasn't too like cakey at first. It looked nice. With the initial application it was amazing, but because of its price, a cheaper foundation, an alternative, NARS All Day Luminous, looked better. It's as simple as that. It is literally foundation. That's why I called it Foundation Olympics. There is a foundation that is luminous, has a nicer finish, has equally as good of a shade range, just does more for a better price. It's as simple as that. Overall, for coverage, I gave it a 3. It was medium. It said it was going to be medium coverage. I gave it a 2 for longevity because it didn't last. I really liked the finish. That's why I gave it a 3. And then another hidden gem that finished this summer off. Revolution Conceal and Hydrate is £9. It has 50 shades in the shade range. It is in Superdrug, in Boots, in Ulta, just worldwide shipping. It ships almost anywhere in the world. The coverage was medium, however you could easily build it to a full coverage. It was almost full coverage straight away. I did a 12-hour wear test on that one and it stayed. I am on verge of saying this is better than Conceal and Define. I think I need to do a wear test of half and half. Let me know if you want to see that video because I'm very intrigued whether I do like it more than Conceal and Define. The finish is amazing. Again, it's like a natural matte luminous finish. It does have a little bit more dewiness than I would like it to. This is why I gave it a 4, not a 5. 4.5 for me when it comes to the finish with that regards, but longevity, I gave it a 5. Coverage, I gave it a 5. So just a quick recap from the bottom. Last place with 5 points, we have DermaCall. I don't want to talk about it. Go and see that video, you'll understand why it only got 5 out of 15. 7 points for Lancome Teint Idole. Again, a terrible foundation, a terrible experience for me. Anastasia Luminous Foundation and Illuminating Touch from Collection have received the same amount of points, both with 8. The next foundation, Makeup Forever Velvet Matte Skin. It's not a bad foundation, but for the price, if it was a tenner, I would have been like, not bad. Revlon Colorstay Combo Oily Formula received 10 points, quite literally in the middle. It's not a bad foundation, probably one of the best oil controlling foundations out there. Collection Lasting Perfection received 11 points. 13 points Sephora Map Perfection. Go and see the video. Go and see all of these videos if you want. There's more details there, obviously. Conceal and Hydrate from Revolution. I love the price. You can see in my initial wear test video that I am blown away by it. Till this day, I am blown away by it. I highly recommend it. And then my number one, my favorite, 15 points, NARS All Day Luminous. It just speaks for itself. It does what it says it's going to do. The most long lasting foundations, NARS, Conceal and Hydrate, Lasting Perfection. The best coverage was definitely NARS and Conceal and Hydrate. The nicest finish has to be NARS, and it's purely because it smoothed out my skin just a little bit more than Conceal and Hydrate. However, NARS 35, Conceal and Hydrate 9, so it's completely up to you. Either one is great. Overall, the worst, you've guessed it if you've been listening, DermaCall. Okay, I've rambled so much. I hope you don't mind. I wanted to kind of sum it all up for you guys. I will link every single video. I actually did a playlist of all these foundations. If you want to see it, then please do. It would make me very, very happy. I would love for you to see them. Thank you so much for watching Foundation Fabs Flushes, and thank you so much for supporting me, for watching me, for leaving comments, likes and subscribing. You are the best. You make me so happy, and I'm gonna get emotional, so I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you have enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. You are the best. Bye.